Imagine standing on the balcony of the White House and staring directly into a solar eclipse without protective glasses, ignoring the panicked shouts of your staff. That single, rebellious image perfectly captures the essence of the 45th and 47th President of the United States. We are talking about a real estate tycoon who filed for 6 corporate bankruptcies, a reality television star who wrestled at WrestleMania, a convicted felon who launched a line of cryptocurrency meme coins, and the leader of the free world who once tried to sell mail-order steaks through an electronics catalog. This is the story of Donald John Trump, the man who turned his very name into one of the most polarizing, resilient, and powerful brands in human history, fundamentally reshaping the global geopolitical order and the internet itself. Donald Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in Queens, New York, the fourth of 5 children of Mary McLeod and Frederick Christ Trump. His father was a highly successful, hard-driving developer who built thousands of single-family houses and middle-class apartment blocks in Brooklyn and Queens using federal loan guarantees. Fred Trump instilled in his son a competitive ethos that viewed real estate development not merely as construction, but as an exercise in psychological dominance over markets, competitors, and regulators. Growing up, Donald attended the New York Military Academy, where he refined his pugnacious, aggressive style, before transferring to the Wharton School of Finance at the University of Pennsylvania, graduating in 1968 with a degree in economics. During the height of the Vietnam War, he received 4 educational deferments and a medical exemption for bone spurs, allowing him to avoid the military draft entirely and enter the family business. Throughout his political career, Trump famously claimed that he built his multi-billion-dollar empire starting with nothing but a small loan of $1 million from his father. Financial investigations and tax records, however, revealed a completely different reality. Donald Trump actually inherited the equivalent of at least $413 million from his father's empire. This wealth was transferred through a complex, decades-long web of loans that were never repaid, direct cash transfers, and highly questionable tax schemes designed to evade gift and estate taxes. At one point, when Donald's casino business was failing, his father even sent a lawyer to Atlantic City to illegally purchase $3.35 million worth of casino chips without placing a single bet, effectively giving him an illicit bailout. The self-made billionaire narrative was an illusion crafted from the ground up, but it was an illusion that Trump would sell to the world with unparalleled mastery. In 1971, Donald took full control of the family business, rebranding it as the Trump Organization. He made a deliberate pivot away from his father's modest outer borough housing projects to focus entirely on the glitz and glamour of luxury, skyscrapers in Manhattan. He utilized political connections and massive tax abatements to redevelop the Commodore Hotel into the Grand Hyatt. And soon after, he built his crowning architectural achievement, Trump Tower on 5th Avenue. This 58-story mixed-use tower featured a 3-story penthouse that became his primary residence and the glittering headquarters of his empire. To cement his status as an elite billionaire, Trump aggressively lobbied the media. He would famously call journalists using pseudonyms like John Barron or John Miller to pitch stories about his own romantic exploits and to dramatically inflate his perceived net worth for the Forbes 400 list. He routinely exaggerated his assets, claiming his Trump Tower penthouse was 30,000 square feet, nearly 3 times its actual size of 10,996 square feet, adding hundreds of millions of dollars of phantom value to his balance sheet. In 1987, he published The Art of the Deal, a ghost-written bestseller that cemented his public image as a brilliant, infallible negotiator who always trusted his gut and won. The book created a mythological character that millions of Americans bought into, completely unaware that his core businesses were secretly hemorrhaging cash. The reality of Trump's business acumen in the late 1980s and 1990s was disastrous. He expanded aggressively into the Atlantic City gaming market, building the Trump Taj Mahal, Trump Plaza, and Trump Castle. He called the Taj Mahal the 8th wonder of the world, but the massive, highly leveraged complexes quickly cannibalized each other. By 1990, a real estate slump left the Trump Organization on the brink of total collapse. Trump owed a staggering $4 billion to 72 different banks, with $800 million of that debt personally guaranteed. Between 1985 and 1994, his main businesses lost over $1.17 billion, meaning that for 2 years running, Donald Trump was the largest individual tax loss claimant in the entire United States. Rather than going down with the ship, Trump manipulated bankruptcy laws to protect his personal wealth. He presided over 6 major corporate bankruptcies between 1991 and 2009. While he maintained his lavish lifestyle, the investors, bondholders, and suppliers who trusted him took massive financial hits. Running through Trump's entire business career is a documented record of refusing to pay contractors, workers, lawyers, and suppliers for completed work. USA Today found that Trump and his businesses had been involved in more than 3,500 lawsuits. At the Trump Taj Mahal alone, his company failed to pay nearly $70 million owed to at least 253 contractors. Small family-run businesses, including plumbers, painters, electricians, a glass company owed $1.5 million, and a piano supplier, were financially devastated when Trump refused to honor his contracts. His standard tactic was to dispute the bill, offer a tiny fraction of what was owed, and threaten to exhaust the small businesses in court if they fought back. Beyond the casinos, Trump created a bizarre graveyard of failed, absurdly branded products. There were Trump Steaks, which launched with a flashy television debut and shut down within 2 months. There was Trump Vodka, Trump Airlines, Trump Magazine, GoTrump.com, Trump Ice Bottled Water, and a failed Monopoly clone called Trump the Game. He even licensed his name to the Trump Network, a multi-level marketing scheme selling vitamins and urine test kits that quickly collapsed. Most infamously, there was Trump University, an unaccredited business that sold seminars claiming to teach Trump's personal real estate secrets. Students paid up to $35,000 for generic information and aggressive sales pressure. After years of litigation, Trump paid $25 million to settle fraud claims just days before his presidential inauguration. By the early 2000s, mainstream American banks had completely blacklisted him, tired of the defaults and lawsuits. He was largely shut out of commercial lending, forced to rely on Deutsche Bank, which inexplicably continued lending him hundreds of millions of dollars even after he defaulted on a $40 million loan and countersued the bank, claiming the 2008 global financial crisis was an act of God. Just when his empire seemed entirely sustained by smoke and mirrors, reality television saved him. In 2004, NBC launched The Apprentice, an unscripted show featuring Trump evaluating and firing contestants in a boardroom. The show was an absolute cultural phenomenon. It ran for 14 seasons, utilizing extensive editing to make Trump appear as a decisive, hyper-competent executive. The on-screen character bore little resemblance to the man whose companies were drowning in litigation, but it beamed the image of an infallible boss into millions of American living rooms every week. The show earned Trump over $427 million in salary and licensing fees, fundamentally resurrecting his public image. He leaned heavily into this celebrity status, purchasing the Miss Universe and Miss USA pageants, securing a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and making memorable cameos in pop culture, including shaving the head of What OE owner Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 23. Having realized the power of his name, he pivoted to an asset-light business model. Instead of building skyscrapers, he simply licensed his name to other developers, collecting massive fees to slap the word Trump in gold letters on buildings from Manila to Istanbul, creating the ultimate illusion of a global real estate titan. Trump translated this carefully manufactured business mythology into the ultimate political victory. In 2016, running on a populist America First platform, he shocked the world by defeating Hillary Clinton to become the 45th president of the United States. His first term, spanning 2017 to 2021, completely disrupted the American political system and shattered global democratic norms. Domestically, his administration achieved massive structural changes, most notably in the judiciary. He appointed 234 federal judges, including 3 Supreme Court justices, cementing a conservative supermajority that would reshape American law for generations. He signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, passing $3.2 trillion in historic tax relief. He also established the United States Space Force, the first new branch of the military since 1947. Internationally, he withdrew the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement and the Iran nuclear deal, pressured NATO allies to significantly increase their defense spending, became the first sitting U.S. president to cross into North Korea to meet with dictator Kim Jong-un. His presidency was defined by a hyper-combative, personalized style of governance. He demanded the construction of a massive wall on the southern border, insisting that Mexico would pay for it. However, leaked transcripts of his phone calls with Mexican President Enrique Pena Nieto revealed a different reality behind closed doors. Trump privately admitted that the funding of the wall was the least important economic issue, but pleaded with Pena Nieto to stop publicly saying Mexico wouldn't pay because it was politically damaging to his brand. In the same breath, he told the Mexican president that he won the state of New Hampshire because it was a drug-infested den. The final year of his first term was consumed by the COVID-19 pandemic. While his administration launched Operation Warp Speed, delivering a vaccine in record time, his public handling of the crisis was highly controversial. He restricted international travel, utilized the Defense Production Act, and eventually contracted the virus himself in October 2020. After losing the 2020 election to Joe Biden and the subsequent January 6th Capitol attack, Trump faced a legal onslaught unprecedented in American history. He was impeached for a second time and indicted in 4 separate criminal jurisdictions. New York jury convicted him of 34 felony counts for falsifying business records to cover up hush money payments. He was found civilly liable for sexually abusing and defaming writer E. John Carroll, resulting in an $83.3 million judgment. The New York Attorney General also won a massive civil fraud lawsuit against him for systematically inflating his assets, leading to a trial where his business certificates were threatened with a corporate death penalty, though an appeals court later threw out the staggering $355 million financial penalty while upholding the underlying fraud finding. Furthermore, leaked tax documents finally proved what he had fought for years to hide. Despite his billionaire status, he paid a mere $750 in federal income taxes in both 2016 and 2017. Many assumed his career was over, but Trump weaponized his legal troubles, convincing his loyal base that the justice system was entirely rigged by his political enemies. He turned his Fulton County, Georgia booking photo into a badge of honor. In 2024, he staged the greatest political comeback in history, winning the election to become the 47th President of the United States, joining Grover Cleveland as the only presidents to serve non-consecutive terms. His path back to the White House was marked by literal violence. He survived 2 assassination attempts, including a harrowing incident at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where a bullet pierced his ear. Surrounded by Secret Service agents, blood streaking across his face, Trump defiantly pumped his fist and yelled, "Fight! Fight! Fight!" True to his brand, he immediately monetized his survival, selling $299 limited edition high-top sneakers featuring his bloodied face, alongside $100,000 diamond watches and cryptocurrency meme coins. Once back in power in 2025, his second administration launched an administrative shock and awe campaign. He appointed Elon Musk to lead the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, triggering mass layoffs across the federal bureaucracy and slashing the Department of Education by 50%. He appointed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to spearhead the Make America Healthy Again movement, declaring an outright war on added sugars and forcing massive food corporations to remove synthetic dyes from their products. On the global stage, he ordered the Department of Defense to be referred to as the Department of War, and authorized Operation Epic Fury, a joint military campaign with Israel that obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities and eliminated its supreme leader. He initiated massive deportation programs, invoking the Alien Enemies Act to remove gang members from organizations like Tierra de Aragua, and pushed a highly controversial executive order to end birthright citizenship. By April 2026, virtually all of the criminal cases against him had been systematically dropped, dismissed, or neutralized, leaving him with unprecedented, unchecked executive power. Throughout his entire political career, Trump completely rewired the way human beings communicate on the internet, effectively functioning as the world's first algorithmic president. His tenure spawned the absolute golden age of political memes. He governed via social media, bypassing traditional journalists to speak directly to millions. In May 2017, he sent out the legendary baffling tweet. Despite the constant negative press Cuffeef, he deleted it hours later, but Cuffeef became a permanent, inexplicable internet fixture. There was the infamous moment he stared directly into a solar eclipse. There was a time he proudly boasted on national television about passing a basic cognitive test by enthusiastically repeating the words person, woman, man, camera, TV. When First Lady Melania Trump visited a facility housing detained migrant children, inexplicably wore a jacket that read, "I really don't care, do you?" setting the internet completely ablaze. The absurdity peaked with fake news memes, like the viral rumor that Trump had demanded White House staff install a 24/7's guerrilla channel on his television so he could watch apes fighting, a joke that sounded just plausible enough that major political commentators actually believed it. Even his unique comb-over hairstyle became an international talking point, particularly after a gust of wind boarding Air Force One exposed his scalp to the world. A photo of an 11-year-old boy calmly mowing the White House lawn while Trump stood over him, mouth wide open in an apparent scream, became the ultimate template for his chaotic energy. And at his 2025 inauguration, the meme cycle restarted instantly when Melania wore a massive boater hat that physically blocked Donald from kissing her on camera, flooding feeds worldwide with jokes about their dynamic. Thanks for watching this investigation into the most unpredictable, highly leveraged, and heavily memed figure in American history. If you want to stay updated on the mechanics of power, or see which billionaire, politician, or reality star we dissect next, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and ring the bell so you never miss another deep dive. If you don't, just remember, Donald Trump will find your house, slap a giant gold logo on your roof, sell you a $100,000 diamond watch, serve you a well-done Trump steak, and force you to stare directly into a solar eclipse while tweeting "Covfeef." Stay optimized.